Hey everybody, I just wanted to drop in today because today is your last and final training session. This is almost the end of the 7-day recruiting challenge. You've almost made it, and I wanted to personally thank you guys, the ones who have been completely engaged, the ones who have taken part in some of the assignments, the ones who have commented, and hopefully I've given you good feedback. We've done a couple live sessions where there was live Q&A, and we're gonna do one more of those. But for the most part, this is the final training as far as what you need to know about recruiting. And so it's my hope that you've gotten tangible information that you can use, and have gotten good value from this group and the interaction with me and some of the different assignments that will hopefully help you understand how to really assess where your athlete is at and what you need to focus on moving forward. So definitely, before we move on today, I wanted to thank you for taking part in this challenge and trusting me in, giving you the knowledge that you need to help your athlete who wants to play at that next level. So that's what I wanted to do first, and we're going to get into this training. But I also want to announce that at the beginning of this challenge, I told you that someone is going to win a scholarship into my program, in which I mentor athletes all over the United States, super private program, for the next 12 months. And so everything from training, everything from nutrition, we have mindset coaches, dietitians. And so when we talk about an athlete who needs to get to the next level, who needs to maximize his or her potential, that's what we do. And we don't do it over a month or 2 month time, 8 week or 16 week. What we do is take an athlete for 12 full months and the parent, and they are given every tool that they need to maximize their performance in the game of football. And so somebody's going to win that tomorrow. I'm narrowing down the candidates, the people who have been most engaged. So there's going to be one winner. So I'm super excited about that. I'll announce that tomorrow. But above and beyond that, today I'm going to give you the last and final training session for what you need to know as far as recruiting, and hopefully tie this thing all together and make you guys 100% clear on what you need to do. And so that's what we're going to do today. I have a couple notes here, so if I look down, forgive me, because we're not going to do the webinar style training like I did on the other two. This is going to be me talking to you just like this. And so if I forget something, I got a little note card here, and I'll just look at it and keep going. So let's begin this last part. Okay, the biggest thing for you guys to understand, and I'm going to recap really quickly. I know I've hammered these points home, but number one, first and foremost, size. Okay, if your athlete doesn't look the part, if he can't open that door and get college coaches excited about his potential, then really, worrying about exposure and all that other stuff doesn't matter, right? So his height, his weight, like that stuff is very important. People overlook this all the time. Parents overlook it. They want to know how to get exposure, and their athlete still has 20 pounds to gain. Okay, exposure is going to do nothing for you. Exposure is going to expose you. Okay, so if you're not ready for it, it's doing you no good. So an athlete, first and foremost, they have to fit the size profile. So I gave you in the first training, you can, download that video so that you can use it for reference. But there's heights and weights that college coaches are looking for to fill their roster. Now, if your son plays safety or tight end, it's completely different, right? Safeties can be 5'10" and 195 pounds. Tight ends, if you want to play Division I football, you better be over 6'3". And so you can get eliminated really quickly based on the one thing we have no control over, which is your height. And that's the worst news of it. But the best news is that if you pick the right position and you become really good at the right position, you can play at the top levels. Obviously, we've all seen Wes Welker and other athletes who are 5'8" at best, and they're playing in the National Football League. So you have heights that range from 5'8" to 6'7" in the National Football League. So that means that almost everybody has a chance, right? I haven't seen a 5'5" athlete in the NFL. So if you have adequate height and you can fit the box and you can play your position really well, then you have a shot. And the one big thing that we talked about as far as size was concerned And some of the examples I gave you is athletes who are in high school at six, that were 6 feet tall, 6'1", 170 pounds, who were zero-star athletes, and who gained that 40 pounds of explosive muscle and became an athlete who was very desirable to college coaches, and then they got the exposure. And so that's the point I want to hammer home. We can't do anything about height. You're going to be as tall as you're going to be. However, we have to understand that the amount of weight you have in fitting inside that box of size and weight for your position and the level of college is going to make the biggest difference. So that's number one. I don't want to talk more about that. Number two, after a college coach feels like you have the size necessary to play the position he wants you to play in college, speed is very, very important, okay? And so you completely understand that athletes need to get faster, and college coaches are going to flip on that huddle film, and your athlete's speed is either going to jump off the film or it's not. Okay, so they're not really going off the 40 times you post. If they don't time the athlete themselves, they don't put a whole lot of stock into different combine numbers and stuff like that. So when they turn on that film, your athlete better look explosive, he better be fast, and they're looking for athletes that can run away from the defenders, or defenders who are, whose speed is jumping off the film. And after watching thousands of hours of film, guys, that is super easy to spot. It takes 2 to 3 plays and a coach already knows if an athlete has the speed that they're looking for or not. So the great thing about that, guys, is that we can absolutely increase an athlete's speed. It is 100% possible to take an athlete who runs, a 5 flat 40, and in a year's time he's a 4.7 guy, okay? And we talked about in the presentation about how false all these 4.4 and 4.5 numbers are that you're hearing from parents and coaches and all of that stuff, because we've seen what the NFL athletes are doing at the NFL Combine, and half of those guys aren't running 4.4, 4.5, and they've been trained and they're the best athletes in the world. So you don't have to be a 4.4 guy or a 4.5 guy to play college football, despite what anybody says. The coaches, the real coaches at the university, knows how possible that is for 16 and 17-year-old kids. However, when you're up against your own competition in the game, and we can see the huddle film, your speed's going to jump off the film or it's not. And like I just said, there's ways to increase your speed, but there's a lot of BS out there in the market for ways to increase your speed. Running with parachutes, different speed, strength shoes, marketing gimmicks, right? Different speed trainers who are gonna take you out to the park and make you do endless footwork drills and cone drills and, agility drills, and you're working your butt off for, hours, and you're never getting the speed increases that you signed up for. And so there's a lot of things out there that I wanted you to be aware of, because that's just a complete waste of time. Yes, working on footwork is important, but work on the footwork for your position, right? Footwork to me for a wide receiver is going out and running routes, perfecting routes every single day. Doing, cone drills that aren't going to translate into the football world is a complete waste of time. And so if you want to get faster, you have to focus on a couple things. And if you want to know those things, go back and watch the second presentation, because I dive into, how exactly to get faster. And I'll just quickly list them right here. I won't go into great detail because I already have. Number 1, get stronger. Number 2, body composition. If you're carrying too much fat, you're not gonna maximize your speed. Number 3, train for power. Number 4, flexibility, mobility. Make sure that you're mobile in the right in your ankles, your knees, and everywhere else, so that you don't get injured and you can maximize your speed. Okay? Number 5, don't combine speed and conditioning training. Train for speed when you're training for speed, and then condition separate from that. Running wind sprints is not making you faster, it's conditioning you. So taking complete rest after 100% intense bouts of sprints is very, very key to your success in getting faster. And so there's a lot of stuff, and this whole program was built for you to understand we have responsibility over our size. Everything but height, we have responsibility. our speed. We absolutely can become more explosive and faster if we have the right tools. Okay? Last night, I talked about recruiting services. And for those of you who missed it, there's a video. Just go back and watch it. A lot of parents start over here on the right side of the equation with exposure, recruiting service questions, and their athlete isn't big enough and fast enough. So they have to focus over here on the left side first for that to even matter. Recruiting services, are they going to hurt you if you go with big ones that are reputable? No, they're not going to hurt you at all. They're going to give you some good tools if you can afford them, but it's not a magic pill. Just because you sign up with a recruiting service doesn't mean your athlete's going to play next level football. Remember, only 6% of athletes ever play football beyond high school, and many of those athletes have signed up with recruiting companies. So my problem, if I have a problem with recruiting companies, is that parents and athletes sign up for them and they think that just because they sign up that that's going to solve all their problems. They stop emailing coaches themselves, they stop doing all the things that are necessary, and they don't worry about the stuff that they can control like speed and strength, and the recruiting companies don't give them resources on how to do that. So if you're going to use a recruiting service, make sure that you're big enough and fast enough, because if you're not, it doesn't matter if you're using them or not. So we went over that. Now, camps. We've also touched on this topic. What camp should I go to is a huge question that I get asked all the time. Well, what schools are you interested? Realistically, are you going to be able to get recruited at the Division I level, or are you more a Division III player? Stuff like that has to be discussed. And if you're a Division III player, that doesn't mean that you, as a sophomore, you can't grow into a Division I player, but you have to be honest with your size and speed, honest with your highlight film and the amount of good film you have out there. But camps are very important for the athletes who are ready for exposure. Remember at the first of this video, I told you that exposure will expose you. So if you're going to get exposed, you want good exposure. So you want to show up to those camps with the size that you need and the speed that you need and the attitude that you're going to dominate your opponents, and so you get that good exposure. What camps do I recommend? Every state has different camps. I'll tell you this, there's two different camps. There's camps where you can go learn great fundamentals and techniques, and those are great. Those are camps that if you have somebody that can teach you, how to play your position better, and it's an in-depth camp. There's a lot of, money-making camps that want to get in as many athletes as possible, and kids aren't getting the reps, and you're not going to get much out of it. But if you have camps that are good for teaching fundamentals and techniques, those are good, but they're not going to get you recruited. You can go to those and learn, which is going to help you stand out if those camps are good. Then you have the other camps where college coaches are going to be in attendance. So if you're going to do it for recruiting purposes, and that's what I'm talking about here, the recruiting, the coaches have to be there. Okay, because if they're not there, they're not seeing you. So you have to understand what camps the college coaches are going to be there, how many college coaches are going to be there, and then you can determine if that's worth your money, worth your investment or not. Because if you have an athlete that needs to get seen and he's ready to get seen, the best way to do that is putting him in front of college coaches. So I don't know the landscape of every state in the United States, and so I can't tell you exactly what camps to do there. There are some good ones, there's a lot of bad ones. The second thing I would say is I really like camps at the local universities, some of them. A lot of them have invite-only camps where they're actually invitation only, where they're inviting players from all over the country to come in. Those are the best. That's number one, because if you're invited, they want to see you. And again, when you show up, you better show out. So the local universities will save you money, obviously, if they're in driving distance. So you can figure out what local universities that you live by, figure out when those camps are, and hopefully they have an invitation only one that you can get invited to. That's going to come with communication. That's going to come with you sending letters and highlight films and expressing your interest. And if they see potential, you're going to get an invitation. But there's also ones that aren't invitation that everybody can go to, And if you're an athlete that already has everything we talked about, the size and the power and the speed, and you're going to go stand out, you're going to go up against, all your peers. And if you dominate, that can lead you to great communication with that college. Okay, so I would say the local camps are really good to go to. And if you are a big time player with great size and great speed, and you have dream schools like Ohio State or UCLA or USC or wherever you want to play, then if you have the means to travel and go to those camps, by all means do it. But just don't think that by going to the camps you're going to get recruited, right? The only way you're going to get recruited is if you're impressive and you stand out amongst everybody there. So I hope that's clear. Obviously, there's the Nike opening and different camps and combines, and putting up great numbers there will be great. But the best way to get recruited is to go stand out in front of those college coaches wherever they're going to be. So I hope we covered the camp circuit and recruiting companies. And then the last and final piece, guys, like I said, this is the last step. The last step is putting it all together and having a plan. Okay, having a blueprint that is proven to work, because you have all this knowledge now, and it's up to you what you're going to do with it. It does no good to know that your athlete needs to put on 20 pounds of muscle and know that comes down to nutrition and training, but you keep doing the same thing that makes him 20 pounds too light. That's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over and getting the same result. Your son is not going to magically put on 20 pounds of muscle. Your son is not going to magically increase his speed to the level that is impressive to college coaches. So what is your plan? What are you going to do? Because you need a plan in order to take him to that level that he wants to get to. So again, you have all this information, you have all this understanding, but if you choose to do nothing with it, then it's going to do you no good. So the last and final piece is to have a coach or to have a mentor that can show you and tell you when you're off track and hold you accountable and check in and make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do, so that when you're a senior in high school, you've maximized your potential. Because that's all that we can guarantee. Every single person watching this video can maximize their high school potential. And then beyond that, you can even maximize your potential further. The problem is that all these high school athletes are graduating and they're not even close to what they could have been. I know that. I see it all the time. They're not even close to how strong they could be. They're not even close to how fast they could be. They're not even close to how mentally tough they can be, because nobody's shown them how, right? And so it's super important. I mean, I tell the story all the time that the national average for high school football players to get recruited is 6% to play any amount of football after high school. But I see athletes all the time, and the percentage of my athletes that go on to college is huge, is so much bigger than that. And the reason is because they've had a plan for so long, and they've been held accountability, and they believe in the plan. And that's the other part of it. Your athlete has to believe in the plan, or it doesn't matter. It's going to do them no good. So sometimes, where to look for these coaches? Sometimes your high school coach is phenomenal, and your high school coach is one of them coaches who's going to help you and hold you accountable and make sure that nutrition is going to be on point, and make sure that you're weighing in at the right weight, and making sure that the speed program is perfect. And I'd like to say that probably 2% of high school coaches around the country are like that. If you have one, awesome. If you're a player, buy into that guy because he knows. All right? But here's the problem. High school football coaches are busy. They're busy with their staff. They're busy game planning. They're busy with, the seniors, the juniors, the freshmen, the Little League program coming up. So they have a lot on their plate. They're dealing with hundreds of kids. And so it's really hard for them to make sure that they dug into your athlete and maximize his potential. Okay? But there are those coaches out there. So I want to be clear that some of you might have those coaches. You might even be a high school coach that can spread this kind of message and really have that plan for young athletes. Now, maybe you have a local, you have a local performance center by your house that's phenomenal, because trainers are a dime a dozen. Personal training, sending your son to a personal trainer who doesn't specialize in football, there's tons of those guys. But are they great at what they do? Does your athlete look at them and wholeheartedly believe that they have the plan necessary put in place, that when they become a senior, they're going to be ready to go? They're going to be ready to reach that next level. Those guys again are rare. Just getting under a squat rack and counting sets and reps, that's easy. That's easy stuff. And there's not many great trainers out there that fully understand how to maximize performance and raise the level of confidence so that an athlete is going to get the very most out of his athletic ability. Okay, they're out there, and when you find one, you'll know. You'll absolutely know, because you'll see it in your athlete. You'll see the confidence rise. You'll see the results. It's tangible. He's either getting faster or he's not. You're either wasting money or you're not. Okay, so that's an option too. Now let me tell you something. Just because an athlete plays at the college level, or in my case even plays in the NFL, that does not mean that that person is an expert in speed and strength and performance. Okay, that's something that happens with for people that dedicate their lives to it. That's where all that knowledge comes from. Just because you play doesn't necessarily make you a great trainer. And that's, I have that background, but my life has been dedicated to maximizing human potential for, the last 7.5 years. So you definitely have to be careful with that too. Just because someone played doesn't necessarily mean they have the roadmap for you. Now, is that an awesome perspective? I look back on my experience and I use that in addition to all the education for human performance, and the psychology and all of that mixes in, because I have unique experience, because I battled adversity. I had to walk on 2 times. I had to go thousands of dollars in debt to reach my ultimate dream. So I have that perspective to talk about, right? So that perspective is awesome. Are there guys out there that do that? Yeah. How many miles in between are these guys? A lot. They're few and far between again. Now, maybe your dad has played college football, or you're a parent that that your son looks to and absolutely believes 100%, and you have the plan, you have the golden plan. That's awesome. Your athlete needs to buy in, and you better give them the right information. So there's high school coaches, there's performance training centers, there's sometimes ex Division I football players who are training athletes, but you have to watch out for them, because it doesn't mean that they're great. You have to understand when they're great and not great. And then maybe you're a parent and you're super involved, and this process because you've had 3 other sons that have gone on and played college football, and you know what to do. So you can get this coaching and mentoring in different places, but you have to understand whether it's tangible, whether the results are there, and if it's the right plan. Because you can have a plan and a wrong plan, and you're going to end up somewhere where you don't want to end up. So the last part of this whole recruiting training is for you to understand, to maximize your son's ability, to maximize the chances that he plays football beyond high school. If he has a burning desire to succeed, you can't want it more than he does. He has to have that burning desire to succeed if he's ever going to make it. He has to be begging to go to practice. He has to be begging to train more. He has to want to do the nutrition stuff. He has to want to learn the mindset. But if he doesn't, then you're wasting your time. Okay? So if you have an athlete that has all that, in order to maximize his potential, there has to be a plan. Unless he's one of the top 1 or 2% that is going to fall into that athletic scholarship because he's just that athletic. And so if you listen to those people, they'll be like, well, if he's going to make it, he's going to make it. And those people, you know, I get into arguments all the time. If that was the case with me, I would have never reached my dream. I wasn't an athlete who was just going to make it and if I had that athletic ability, I was going to make it. I had to build myself up. I had to gain 40, 50 pounds in order to finally realize my dream. So I needed a plan, and I got that plan late, but it was almost too late. I was just lucky enough I had such a desire that I just kept going. Okay, so hopefully we're clear on that. I think that you guys fully understand now that you have a lot more power than you thought you did. And so that's, you know, that was my biggest goal with this training. So hopefully we can put it all together, and this group will be open until Monday, and then I'm closing the group. Everybody will be gone, and this is just a 7-day program. And I'm super thankful for you guys to take part in it. I hope you learned something. There's a couple things that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave a little poll for some feedback, what you liked best, and so that I can, when I do this again, I can add some of the stuff and get some of the feedback from you guys. But it's been awesome. I got to know a lot of you. I've been private messaging. My phone schedule has been blown up for people who have been interested in, you know, my services and what I do and my university program. And so we've talked about all that. And, you know, obviously that's what I do. And I'm not into, you know, pushy sales and like getting you on the phone and closing you. And for those of you who have been on the phone with me, you understand that, you know, that's not my style. If you want to work with me, if you feel like I give your son the best chance to succeed and you want to take part in my training program and you know, you feel like that's going to be the best thing, then we're going to talk about how to make that happen. And it's affordable. And so I don't push that on people though, because I just want to get this information out there. And if you want my help, then you can come to me with it and we can discuss whether it's a good fit for me or not. And so I appreciate all of the feedback. So that's the end of our training for the 7 days. The group's going to be open till Sunday, so I'm going to keep posting a little more things for you know, more information. But as far as the training and what you need to know about recruiting, bam, that's it, guys. And so really quickly though, going along with that whole sales tangent I just said, my calendar, I'll open it up again. It's closed for the weekend. I'm going to open up Sunday to talk to people who are super interested in what my John Madsen University program means, and I'll answer questions about it. I'm going to open up, I don't know, 5 or 6 sessions right after this video for Sunday, which is tomorrow. And once those spots are filled up, they'll be filled up. But I'm going to talk to the people who are interested. For those of you who want, you know, just a trial, like to try it out, I have programs that are 30 days that are guaranteed to get results. That if you purchase them, your athlete will no doubt become faster and stronger, and you'll be able to see firsthand how training with a program that's, you know, specialized for high school football players will yield results faster than your son has ever gotten results before. So I have 2 different kinds. I have more of a beginner one that's called Extreme Mass for the athletes who need to put on that size. It's more of a basic program that is guaranteed to increase strength and size faster than anything they've done. So I have that program. It's going to be, and all these programs that I'm going to mention right now are 50% off until Sunday. After that, they go back to full price. So I'll give you the links and I'll give you the discount code under this video. But I have that Extreme Mass program, and then I have Extreme Mass plus a nutrition bonus. And that nutrition bonus comes with a guide, the guide our athletes use, and then it also has 4 different 8-week meal plans so that they can start to get on track and understand food better. Okay, so I have Extreme Mass and then Extreme Mass plus a nutrition bonus. In addition to that, I have what I call Fast Twitch Muscle, my program called Fast Twitch Muscle, which is for the intermediate athlete who's a little bit stronger, has adequate strength, but he's lacking that explosiveness. he needs to get faster, and he needs to get faster now before this camp season happens. Well, I have this 30-day program, Fast Twitch Muscle, which is going to do that. It's a program that I use with NFL Combine athletes, and it's gonna have all the speed programming and all the strength programming for an athlete who already has some of that, has adequate strength, and is going to take their game to the next level. Okay, 30 days, Fast Twitch Muscle, and then I have the Fast Twitch Muscle plus the nutrition bonus, like the other one, with four different 8-week meal plans that is a little bit more expensive than, you know, just the basic program without the nutrition. Both of them are affordable. They're 50% off. So they're 50% off right now until Sunday. So just to give you an example, the programs without the nutrition, they're regularly $99. Today and tomorrow, they're 50% off with the discount code that I'll post. The ones with nutrition, they're regularly $150, 50% off for today and tomorrow. 30-day program, you purchase, you download, you can start on Monday. So that's all I have to say. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on anything else. I wanted to give you all the information, and if you want my help, you know where to get it. I appreciate the friend requests on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can follow along with my personal journey and what I do on a daily basis. But that's all for today, guys. That's your last training. We're going to announce a winner to the scholarship into John Madsen University tomorrow, and we'll go from there, guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking part in this program. I want your athlete to succeed. I want him to have the best tools available so that he can reach his goals. That's my goal in doing this. So thank you. I really appreciate the feedback, and we'll talk to you soon.